Good morning, and thanks so much for joining us on Leon County Today with Sheriff Walt McNeil. I'm Angela Green, your Public Information Officer, in for Shonda Knight. Sheriff, thanks for joining us all in your pink.
Oh, I am delighted to do it in my pink. Obviously, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we in the Leon County Sheriff's Office, in fact, law enforcement all across the Big Bend area is making sure that we are engaged and trying to support that great initiative we have in our community to see if we can eradicate breast cancer in our lifetime.
Yeah, it's a very important topic. You know, my family's been deeply touched by it, so it's very important. And I know law enforcement plays a role in bringing awareness, and it's all circled around starting the conversation, especially this month. We're also honoring domestic violence awareness, and it's very important, and it's something that we take to heart here at the Sheriff's Office.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. We often talk about, at least I do anyway, that many of the crimes we see in our communities are sometimes derivative of domestic violence. The fact is that many of our kids grow up in these homes where they're traumatized. They see these humongous circumstances where their parent, mom or dad's been the victim of domestic violence, and that it carries over. That's something that carries with them for the rest of their lives, you might say. And one of the things we'd like to do is to have ways in which we one of my goals, obviously, is to reduce the number of domestic violence cases in our community by 20 to 30% every year. That's a tall task, but I believe we can do it.
And I think one of the things you mentioned is trauma. I don't think people really understand the scope of trauma.
Well, I can tell you, it is devastating throughout our community, throughout our nation, quite honestly. With the speed of change, our kids are growing up having to learn things at a pace that's different than any other generation. They're exposed to, for the first time, weapons are easily accessible. The technology changes in the world. People can get on TikTok and they can convey all various messages, and all of that creates an environment where our young people and we in general are more susceptible to trauma.
Yeah, I think when you mentioned the resources that are out there, today's show is going to touch on resources, myths, so much more in ways that you can deal with it. And I think, you know, if you follow us on social media, you will see that our cars are decorated and outfitted with the domestic violence logos. And I think that sends a very deep message to everybody involved.
Yeah, with the cars, I hope we send a message. Those cars are very visible out there, and we want to make sure that domestic violence isn't something that's hidden, that we want to address that straight on and let our citizens know that it takes all of us working together and realizing it's occurring, and it's not something that only occurs in low-income families. It occurs in all families. And we have to be engaged in trying to bring and shed a light on it, quite honestly.
All right. Well, looking forward to more on this conversation. So coming up, you'll hear more about our partnership on how do we stop domestic violence, and also hear about some of the resources available and a new campaign hearing directly from victims. Stay with us.
Good morning. I'm Captain Jimmy Goodman with the Leon County Sheriff's Office, and this is your Crime Tip Tuesday. We want to warn you about a concerning scam targeting our community. Scammers are posing as deputies from the Leon County Sheriff's Office, using real deputies' names, and in some cases, the phone number that appears on the caller ID actually lists LCSO's phone number. Once the victim answers the phone, a scammer comes on the line to inform them that there's a warrant for their arrest. Don't be a victim. Always verify the caller's identity, and always ask for the caller's badge number. Then contact the Leon County Sheriff's Office directly to confirm their identity. So, how can you avoid being a victim? Always remember, you will never receive a phone call that tells you there's a warrant issued for your arrest. Those matters are handled through paper documentation, typically served in person by a uniformed deputy. Never share personal information. Legitimate law enforcement will never ask for personal or financial information over the phone.
Have a great week. Stay safe out there.
Start your new career as a corrections officer at one of the state's most innovative agencies, the Leon County Sheriff's Office.
When I left the academy, my training never stopped.
Work with state-of-the-art technology.
You can make a lot of money at a very young age.
Starting pay is $50,000 a year with amazing benefits.
Firearms, taser, driving training.
A better work-life balance with more time off.
They're going to sponsor you through the academy and pay you while you're there.
Join the family. Apply today at leoncountyso.com.
Welcome back. Joining me now is Kelly O'Rourke, Director for Domestic Violence Coordinating Council. Kelly, for those who don't know, tell us about your organization.
The Domestic Violence Coordinating Council was created by the city and county commissions to make sure that all of the agencies and groups in town that work with domestic violence perpetrators or survivors are on the same page. Make sure we have a good community coordinated response to domestic violence. We meet once a month to make sure we don't have anything falling through the cracks, but we also do a whole lot of public awareness because those are the two things that mitigate domestic violence in a community.
You talked about public awareness. Now, every year for the last several years, law enforcement gets together and our first responders, we decorate a vehicle out there to send a message out. Tell us what's that message all about and why do we do that?
We call it Forces United Against Domestic Violence, meaning all of our 5 local law enforcement agencies, FSU, TCC, and FAMU Police, the Tallahassee Police Department, and of course the Sheriff's Office, all come together to reveal one of their cars wrapped, as you talked about before, in a domestic violence message with a domestic violence hotline number on it and a message that says, end the silence on domestic violence, or there's no excuse for abuse. And the idea is that it's a community event, that we all as a community have to be working together, united, to fight domestic violence. And that's the whole purpose of the cars. And there's 2 things. Number 1, we hope a lot of survivors see that and say, oh, wait a minute, maybe I can get help, there's a number. Or you might have a friend when you see that car, go, I'm gonna tell my friend about this number. And the second thing that's really important is it's a message to the abusers that we're gonna hold you accountable. All 5 of our local law enforcement agencies see you and we're gonna hold you accountable, so don't even.
I love that. You've also kicked off this campaign, a video campaign with survivors in the campaign, or in the videos. Talk to us about what brought that about and what message are you trying to send with the video?
Well, it started with, we have several survivors that speak at different events that we hold, and when they tell their story, it's so incredibly moving and affecting for people in the audience, but then it's left right there. And we decided we needed to preserve these stories forever on the web so that not just people in Tallahassee, but people all over the world can turn to them for inspiration for forever, for long coming years. So we started recording the videos, and we noticed a couple of things. One is that all 4 of the ones that we recorded, there was a moment in time when they said, I'm leaving, this is it, that's enough. There was different things that got to each person, but they did. And all of them went on to the most incredibly happy relationships, fulfilling lives, great careers. In fact, the one we're featuring this week, Iris, she went on to get her PhD and she's a professor now. So we decided to call this campaign, There's Hope in Healing. And we want it to be an inspiration to any of the survivors out there to go see the videos and see if you're thinking about leaving, you can do it. We have services available, we have help available. Safety is one of the most important things, but we have a lot of safety programs through the Sheriff's Office and TPD to help you get out of the relationship, because there is a life waiting for you that is happy, fun, successful, and safe, and you can get there. So we want these stories to inspire people to take that step, or inspire people to help their friends to take that big step. And I just wanted to mention that There's Hope in Healing is the message titled by one of our members, Markeisha Tassie's book.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing with this particular campaign, trying to share hope and healing with everyone.
Well, I'll tell you, you guys are doing a great job. I can't express how much we appreciate the work you're doing. But you're also, I talked a moment ago about the need to educate our community. So what can our community do to engage in a more crucial aspect of domestic violence?
One of the things they can do with this particular campaign is to go to our Instagram page and our Facebook page, which is both DVCC Tally at Instagram or at Facebook, and share those posts. You never know who in your friend group really is having trouble with an abusive relationship. Like you said, sometimes it's not always on poverty-stricken communities. It could be your neighbors that we find out suddenly are having issues. So go to those pages, share those pages widely, share the posts. There's going to be posts every single week, snippets of all the videos, and at the end of each week you can see a live, the full video of one of 4 different survivors telling their story. So please go and share that as much as you can across the community to let people see what's happening and what they can do.
Now, Kelly, are there any ways that people in our community can support domestic violence financially?
Financially, good question. You can always donate to any of the wonderful agencies that we have working with survivors, including Refuge House, which is our #1 one-stop shopping, kind of, you might say, for domestic violence survivors. They have counseling, therapy, they've got transportation, they've got housing, of course. They can help you with legal services, getting injunctions and things like that. So certainly Refuge House. And you can also go to our website, which is thedvcc.org, where you can see the live videos of all, the full videos, of all 4 of the ladies, and just support them by liking and sharing their stories around the web as much as you can on social media.
Thank you, Kelly. Coming up, hear from one of our dedicated victim advocates will explain how she's working to make sure victims know that there is help and resources available. Stay tuned.
At the Florida Sheriff's Association, we are able to serve our sheriffs and Floridians thanks to our member support. The FSA Member Perks program was created to give back to our members for all that they do. Members enjoy savings on restaurants, vacations, golf courses, car rentals, healthcare, movie tickets, theme parks, online shopping, and more. With over 300,000 offers, you'll always find ways to save. To learn more or to join the Florida Sheriff's Association, visit fsamemberperks.org.
Joining us now is Maria Folsom, one of our victim advocates with Leon County Sheriff's Office. Thanks for coming today. Tell us about your career at the Leon County Sheriff's Office as a victim advocate.
Well, I actually got started in this role back in 1996 as an intern and fell in love with it. And then I was able to work for a little while. I had to leave because I had a son that I needed to take care of. And then I was able to come back, and I'm going to be here for as long as I want to.
Well, thank you for being a part of the Leon County Sheriff's Office family. But talk about what are the resources that we utilize or you utilize when you respond to a domestic violence situation and engaging with a citizen out there?
Our biggest resource, local resource, is Refuge House. It's our domestic violence shelter, but they have a hotline, and they're one of our go-tos. They also have an office at the courthouse to help people with injunctions. And another great resource is 211. It's the crisis hotline. They have counselors there who are trained, and they're excellent in helping people de-escalate their emotions, and then they have resources available on their programs to advise people of what they can do next. But when I go on scenes, my number one goal is to find out, are they safe, and then create a safety plan with them. And the other thing I find out is, do they have a support system? Those are the two questions I always ask people. Are you safe, and who's in your support system?
Okay, fantastic. Now, Maria, I understand that you've written an editorial, a set of editorials for victims out there, domestic violence, and what resources we have. Can you talk about why you did the editorial?
Yes. It's a difficult topic. Domestic violence is hard for people, for those who are in it, for family members who see their loved ones in it. I wanted to open dialogue about it, and I wanted to the community to understand that this is a real issue. It affects all of us in the community. In the article, I even wrote about the number one cause of injury to women and the number one cause of death to pregnant women is domestic violence. That's huge. So I don't think people realize how dangerous the situation is and how close it really can be to each one of us.
Wow, that the number one cause of death, domestic violence.
For pregnant women,
okay.
The number one cause of death is domestic violence.
Wow. Now, you've written a number of editorials, but what are some of the misconceptions that citizens have out there about domestic violence victims or about the perpetrators?
There's a lot. I think the biggest one that I see is people think it's easy to just get up and leave. And there's a lot of reasons why people have to stay. And the number one is it's the highest fatality rate is when somebody leaves domestic violence. That's when they're most likely to be killed. So there's a lot of reasons why people stay. But that question, I actually get annoyed when people ask, why do people stay? The question we should be asking is, why do they hit? Let's take it off of the victim and make the abuser accountable for their actions.
So in domestic violence situations, you're seeing a lot of traumatic events taking place in families, I suspect. What kind of advice would you give to someone who may suspect that a family member is being victimized and they're afraid, whatever reason, to come forward, or just won't come forward? What kind of advice can you give that family member?
And that's good for people to realize that there are things that they can do. First thing is to learn about our local resources. Know about Refuge House as an option, about 211. Learn that there are something called injunctions or protection orders that you could help your loved one to apply for. Know about the victim advocates. There's victim advocates in almost every agency. You've got TBD, of course, us, State Attorney's Office. Reach out and ask questions. There's just a lot of things out there that you can do to help, but the number one thing is to listen. Don't try to give advice when they're coming to you. Let them vent, just listen and be there. And if you do decide to be a support system, be that safe place emotionally for them.
In about 30 seconds, what's the role with the Leon County Sheriff's Office and Domestic Counsel?
We have been in active partnership with DVCC for the longest time. We do trainings. We teach people about what to do if you're in a situation. We work with teenagers, agencies, and then when there's an issue in our community, then DVCC is one of the groups that I go to say, hey, we've got an issue. What can we do about it to fight it?
Well, Maria, thank you so much for all the work you do. Coming up in our Deputy on Duty, we're highlighting our recent Hispanic Resource Festival. We'll explain why events like this one are so important to our community. Stay tuned.
In times of stress such as quarantine, what goes on behind closed doors can be terrifying, but you don't have to suffer in silence. Help is here. Love is not controlling, love is not frightening, and love is not violent. Love is respect. If you need assistance or just want to talk, we are here. In Florida, call the Domestic Abuse Hotline at 800-500-1119 to speak to someone in your area. Or for more information, email the Domestic Violence Coordinating Council at dvcctally@gmail.com.
On this episode of Deputy on Duty, we show you how months of meticulous planning from 2 dedicated Leon County Sheriff's Office employees led to the highly anticipated 4th annual Hispanic Resource Festival. Lieutenant Teresa Lopez, LCSO's first Hispanic female deputy, organized the inaugural festival back in 2018. Lieutenant Lopez says she approached Sheriff Walt McNeil with the idea to host a Hispanic Resource Fest, and the rest was history.
When I was previously a sergeant over community media relations, I worked a lot of events and festivals and saw where there was so much information and so many resources out there, but didn't see a whole lot of Hispanics there.
Crime prevention specialist Brandon Ortiz got involved in the planning when he joined LCSO's crime prevention unit in 2022.
I'm Puerto Rican, and I find that being involved in this event is really important because personally it reminds me of how when I was growing up, I had to be kind of like that bilingual translator for my friends or my friends' parents growing up. Doing this event makes me feel like I'm kind of helping out those people that may have any questions, and a language barrier could potentially be stopping them from getting the assistance that they need.
The event, held at a unique location this year, St. Eugene Catholic Church, brought together diverse elements of Hispanic culture and, of course, a display of LCSO specialty teams for a day of unity.
So this year we were extremely blessed where we were able to partner with St. Eugene Catholic Church for their Hispanic Food Festival. Normally in the past, because this is our 4th annual one, and in the past, they've usually had their festival at the same time as ours.
So people were able to go out there, learn about all the resources available to them within the county, but also try out food from different Hispanic countries.
Their vision for these annual events is also to strengthen the bonds between law enforcement and the Hispanic community while promoting access to crucial resources.
They may not be able to speak the language, or afraid that they may not have someone who will speak the language, or potentially because they may not have their legal documents. So they're afraid that if they contact law enforcement that they could potentially be deported, not knowing that if you're a victim or a witness, and that's not going to take precedence on what's the issue, and that we would be there to assist.
And this collaboration turned out to be a huge success for the entire community.
So this year we have approximately 30 resources, community partners, to be able to provide their resources, anywhere from Bond Medical Health Center, Tallahassee Memorial's Behavioral Center, just elder care.
The festival featured an impressive lineup of local service agencies, colleges, and even haircuts by student barbers from Lively Technical College.
Yes, it's primarily for Hispanic people because we want to target them, whether it be because of the language barrier or they recently moved here from their Latin American country, whatever it may be. But it also extends out to anybody else, whether they have any questions or concerns within the county. We want to be able to answer that or provide any aid or information as well.
This dynamic duo proves that being all in helps to foster lasting relationships between the community and organizations like St. Eugene Catholic Church, and it proves how crucial bridging the gap between law enforcement and the community can be. To stay connected with LCSO and learn about other upcoming events, sign up for our monthly newsletter and alerts right now on our website, leoncountyso.com. For Leon County Today, I'm Angela Sherrod.
Start your new career as a corrections officer at one of the state's most innovative agencies, the Leon County Sheriff's Office.
When I left the academy, my training never stopped.
Work with state-of-the-art technology.
You can make a lot of money at a very young age.
Starting pay is $50,000 a year with amazing benefits.
Firearms, taser, driving training.
A better work-life balance with more time off.
They're going to sponsor you through the academy and pay you while you're there.
Join the family. Apply today at leoncountyso.com.
Download the Leon County Sheriff's Office mobile app right now. Our mobile app makes it easier than ever to report a crime and get important safety alerts. You can also see who's been booked at the Leon County Detention Facility and follow reported crimes in your neighborhood, all in one convenient location in the palm of your hands. Download LCSO Connect right now. It's free in the Apple App Store and Google Play by searching LCSO Connect.
Welcome back. You know, Sheriff, if folks out there missed the Hispanic Resource Festival this year, they really missed out because I enjoyed it.
They missed one of the best ones we've ever had. The number of people who were there, the variety of foods that were there, and the number of agencies that were there representing all of Tallahassee, Leon County. Just a great, great festival. I hope we maintain that location. I know it was on a church ground, but I think on a Saturday, it was perfect, perfect spot.
And this year, the big difference is, I want to stress again, we partnered with the church because they normally have a food festival. And I think, you know, even though we provided the resource part of it, look, I'm a foodie. Trying to just experience all the different foods that the Hispanic culture has. I mean, if you don't get it after that, like, whoa.
Well, and again, it gives us an opportunity to bring the Hispanic community together, and for us to have that dialogue, that ongoing trust is so important to me. And so we've got to keep that going.
I agree. Now, wrapping it back around to domestic violence, I actually got emotional listening to the dialogue between you and Maria Folsom, because I think it's important that people understand there are resources available.
Yeah, there are resources, but more importantly, there are organizations that are out there that are willing to provide the services needed and resources needed. And I commend everybody working in domestic violence. I believe it to be one of the triggers in our society that creates the crime and the drugs that we see, and all the carnage that you see in our society. I think in most cases derives from domestic situations, whether they're battered situations, but the home just breaking down.
Well, I hope somebody learned something. If you are sitting at home and you are a victim of domestic violence, we want you to know that there are resources. Always, you can log on to our website, leoncountyso.com, for more details. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.